Hello everyone, welcome to Mouse Gaming. Today we'll be casting some replays from the Open Division, and we'll start with Dgrazian versus Checkmate. Let's get right into it. In the south side of the map we have Checkmate, playing as the green KSR. And on the north side of the map, Dgrazian himself, playing as the common folk. Both players going for relatively standard decks. Squirrels and Wolf for tier 3, Falcons for tier 1, but Dgrazian is going for the Chameleon Snake tier 2 composition. Meanwhile, Checkmate opting for the new unit, the Scavenger Raccoons and the Skunks. Checkmate does also have the Pigeon, which would prove advantageous in any prolonged engagements, especially against the Snake. Meanwhile, the moles for Dgrazian are better in an all-out fight. Map-wise, Checkmate does have a relatively protected back expansion and also a relatively nice forward expansion on the high ground. Meanwhile, Dgrazian has only this low ground base, but at least it is protected by a river. So it's not all bad, but he could get sieged from this high ground over here. Dgrazian trying something with a squirrel, but backs off. Though he could have actually dealt some damage to these warrants. Both players going fast tier 2. Checkmate going faster, but Dgrazian countering with double chameleons. Chameleons will prove pretty useful against Checkmate's skunks. Checkmate has no idea the chameleons are on the way. Four chameleons are a really strong force, so Dgrazian could maybe push, or at least he would be definitely able to secure a base with his stack advantage. But Dgrazian Checkmate diversifies and goes into some falcons, which are technically a hard counter, or at least a soft counter, against chameleons, but that's just on paper. Dgrazian going for a kind of a sneaky ninja, and Checkmate expanding in the back. Dgrazian going into some falcons of his own, and Checkmate getting a few squirrels and also some pigeons. Pigeons are not really useful right now because the falcons and cams have huge alpha damage, so not exactly the best composition you could go for as Checkmate, but Checkmate also doesn't really know what he's up against. Well, it's not a bad choice. I mean, it's not the worst choice. For a defensive play, it is pretty nice. Checkmate scouts the expansion. Doesn't rally his falcons, but he knows they are even on economy right now. Dgrazian suspects something and sells off his farm. This will result in him going into tier 3 because he thinks he's behind on economy, which is true. So he needs the wolf to get back into the game. And Checkmate decides to push. Puts on some pressure. The armies are relatively even right now. And really nice cliff abuse from Checkmate, using those guns to their full effect. But unfortunately, takes a bad engagement. The chameleons are just too strong. Even loses the last falcon over there. A huge blow dealt to Checkmate's army. And Dgrazian will be not finishing his wolf since he sold it. He would have been in a really great spot if he kept that. But Dgrazian, this actually means Checkmate is at an advantage right now because of his far larger economy. Dgrazian goes back into the wolf and starts going up on his base. 5-minute mark has passed, so farms started following. Checkmate sitting comfortably on 8 farms. And Dgrazian is just catching up. The wolf is supply blocked, but Dgrazian quickly sells, so he can afford it. Checkmate does not know about the wolf. Dgrazian did position his army to block the scout, but Checkmate gets the scout anyway. Ooh, Checkmate sells off 2 farms. Maybe a bit unfortunate. I mean, the economy is getting really low. He could have really used these farms. After scouting the wolf, this prompts Checkmate into attacking, which is the only way he will be able to win this game, probably. He will try some cliff abuse again. Gets a nice pre-gas with these skunks. And demolishes the squirrel first, but unfortunately the 4K minions are just too strong. And they push through, not to even one of them dying. Really unfortunate for Checkmate. This will be... I guess you could say he was put in a checkmate by Dgrazian. Oh yeah. And with the wolf out, Dgrazian will be easily able to lock down this game and secure victory for himself. I mean, he has a huge army advantage. Let's just get this over with. Checkmate will try to fight on these warrants, but the DPS is just too much. Checkmate falls. And with that, Dgrazian wins game 1. Let's go into game 2. Checkmate, spawning as the quartermaster, spawns in the west. Dgrazian, spawning as the common folk, appears in the east. Both players switching up their comps slightly. Checkmate taking lizards and mine instead of pigeon raccoon, and Dgrazian swapping out his snakes for some lizards. No idea what prompted this. Checkmate probably wanted some more tier 2 to deal with Dgrazian's ninja bases. No idea what the mine is for, other than being one of the best defenses in the game. Oh, Dgrazian actually double rushing. Checkmate has no idea this is happening, so he'll be completely blindsided. He could totally counter this with his mines, but unfortunately doesn't know about it. This is why you don't want to do double cycle scouting. You want to scout every single farm cycle. Otherwise you could easily get surprised by this. I always catch people with this. A bit unfortunate for Checkmate, but nice target fire. Yeah, but he gets 2 farms. Still behind on eco, so Checkmate is still in the game. Even survives with that lizard. Okay, Dgrazian solidly ahead right now. Better army, better eco, but Checkmate is still in the game. He can still do a lot of plays, especially with his mines. Mines are a pretty good comeback tool, because they allow you to take a really good decisive fight if you surprise your enemy with the mines. Ooh, Dgrazian coming in from another angle, but Checkmate is ready. Ooh, he will jump on it anyway. A big misplay. Loses a lot of army for no real value. This puts Checkmate back on the map. Dgrazian trying to outflank, but Checkmate has his eyes on him and does not allow him to backstab his base. And both players are now even on 8 farms. Looks like the game has stabilized and we'll be going into the mid game. Checkmate, buying some defensive mines. Dgrazian, taking up to tier 2. Ooh, unfortunately the mines get scouted. Now Dgrazian knows he has to watch out for mines. Goes into... that prompts him to go instantly into the chameleons, which will allow him to have a little bit of mine clearing potential. Checkmate decides to go for a ninja base. Meanwhile, Dgrazian just scouts the back of his base and expands himself. Checkmate now on a nice even squizzard composition. Ooh, and Dgrazian going into that quick wolf before any farms on his second base. Meanwhile, Checkmate is going for a backstab, going to snipe this mill. Luckily for Dgrazian, there are no farms on it. Checkmate floating huge amounts of food, but yeah, Checkmate decides to not scout, retreats with his lizards. He does not know the wolf is out right now, that the wolf is building. And he's floating huge amounts of food right now. He should really buy something, otherwise he'll just get crushed. Nice, some tier 2. And more tier 1. Goes for a scouting run. Sees the wolf. Tries to snipe it while Dgrazian is out of position. Oh, a bold play! But unfortunately does not pay off. The wolf warren survives with 2 HP. And the wolf is building. Checkmate is now a little bit behind army, which will have quite drastic effects on the rest of this game. He could totally snipe it with a falcon yet, but it's a bit too late right now. Checkmate does have 2 farms on his ninja base, and Dgrazian is farming up 3 on his second natural, on his first natural. Dgrazian does not scout the ninja base. Does sees that Checkmate does have this campfire. Checkmate knows he's behind on eco right now, but he's also behind on tech and army, so not sure exactly what he could do to get back into the game. He will try to greed up right now. But Dgrazian smells blood in the water, is patrolling mid-map. Oh, he will maybe try to go for the choke point. Not sure that's the best idea. Loses 1 squirrel for free. Gets a warren but steps on a mine. And this choke point kind of killing him, but the wolf buff is maybe just too strong. Loses because the chameleons were not in the fight. And I will lose the wolf to the lizard, singular lizard. Now the tables have turned. Dgrazian has an army advantage and an eco advantage. Dgrazian trying to sell off to start rebuilding the wolf. But he has such a small army right now. Checkmate should be able to just knock him out. Unless these chameleons, actually these chameleons are pretty strong, 4 of them. Ooh, chameleons did too much damage and now these falcons are reign uncontested in the air. And the wolf is almost out again. But Checkmate stabilizes because Dgrazian does not want to pursue. Dgrazian should really be sus about where Checkmate is getting all this money. He did not scout the ninja base. He thinks only the campfire's alive right now. Scouted this corner base, but he's really sussing out. He should scout it right now, Dgrazian. And he finds it. And instantly rallies. Checkmate sees the rally. How will we respond? Teleports and teleports back again. He will try for a base race. A good decision. Dgrazian is wasting his time killing the pigs. And immediately goes back. Meanwhile, he does lose the mill. But Checkmate has lost all the eco, so... yeah, Dgrazian will be able to pursue thanks to the wolf buff. But it doesn't, waits for the rest of his army. I mean, the mill was pretty much worthless and he lost only 60 food off of the worm. So really no real loss for Dgrazian. Checkmate buys another mill. And tries for a flanking maneuver. There is a relatively nice choke here, but wolf buffed units naturally do better in chokes. Because of their high DPS per tile value. Ooh, rallies his army in a line straight into Chameleon buffed forces, man. That was quite an unfortunate rally from Checkmate. Loses his army in a one-sided battle and Dgrazian takes game 2. Any moment now. Dgrazian will soon take game 2 as long as Checkmate floating his barracks to the corners of the map, refusing to surrender. It's a tournament game, so I guess that is fair, but Dgrazian paranoid about a base race. Scouts the place where Dgrazian Checkmate put all of his warrants, and unfortunately this will be the real knockout. And Dgrazian takes game 2. Dgrazian on a match point right now. Let's see if he will win the game or if Checkmate will be able to claw himself back out of the pits of defeat. Both players once again swapping out to their decks. Both players going for a Badger. Checkmate going for Badger Owl. And both players taking some pigeons and keeping their T2s the same. Checkmate does have a nice defensive position over here. No flanking possible. Only one entrance. Well, 2, I guess, if you count this. Which you should, I guess. And has a really nice 4 defensive mills. Which will be pretty nice for him, I guess. Dgrazian does have a kind of defendable mill, I guess. With the water. And also relatively easily to defend mills on the side. But they're pretty far from his base, so they're way less defendable, I guess, than they could be. If Checkmate plays this well, his owls could definitely win him the game. He has more bases, more eco potential. Dgrazian immediately leveraging The fact that he has a close by mill and buying it. Ooh, selling off his tier 1. Going into tier 2. Checkmate as well going into double tier 2. And Dgrazian farming up while Checkmate is expanding as well. Equal farm counts from both players. Dgrazian scouts the expand. Decides to farm up. Checkmate doing so as well. Ooh, Checkmate going for the sneaky owl. I would have gone for the badger first, but single owl not really that good, honestly. But with the composition of falcons, I guess it's not that bad. Dgrazian waits for the scout to burrow back and farms up. Does not go for the badger. Both players on 8 farms right now. Dgrazian doing a deep scout, trying to look for a sneaky tier 3, does not find it. Waits for the heal, does not burrow back, knows there's... Never mind, he burrows back anyway. Starts building a badger, yeah, that's actually smart to spend your money. Owl is building for checkmate. Checkmate expanding and going into even more falcons. Those do counter the badger, so that's a good play. And the owl is out, while the badger just started building. And with the owl out, Checkmate will try for a move out. The badger is not yet out, so he does have the advantage, but he does have a lot of falcons still building, so he's not at his max strength either. Ooh, engages before the mice, but the timing works out anyway. Ooh, loses the owl. Micro's too far forward, unfortunately. Loses the whole army. Just gets completely obliterated. The Squirrel Falcon comp was just too strong for Checkmate's Squirrel Falcon comp. And with the Badger out, Dgrazian has a huge advantage right now, doubling his opponent's army supply. Doesn't even have to be scared of a base race because he has a ninja base. And simply A-walks onto the enemy right now. Even has a nice ramp up mill for the Badger. Really unfortunate for Checkmate. And with the max ref, Badger tears through the enemy's army. And Dgrazian takes the victory. And Checkmate wins the match. Congratulations to a 3-1 knockout. And let's get on to the next match.